welcome back to Get Laid More University. I am, of course, your instructor of vagina, John Sin, and in this installment, this video, we're going to be teaching you how to avoid the friend zone 101. Which is basically my fancy fun way of saying how to avoid getting girls tell you they just want to be friends. So, what is the friend zone? The friend zone is a place where women store guys in their lives that they are not sexually interested in. This is where they have their platonic friends, their guy buddies, their people they drink with, they're guys who buy them dinner every now and then, or, bring them stuff, or visit them at work, or, do yoga with them. And there are two types of friend zones. The first type of friend zone, the girl is actually your friend. In this situation, you've probably been in the friend zone since the very first day that you met her. If not the very first day that you met her, then at least the first time you expressed romantic interest in her, she said she just wanted to be friends, and you've been in this situation where you're interested in her and she's not interested in you for quite some time, basically the entirety of your relationship. But you two actually do hang out, and you are friends. You go to lunch, dinner, go out clubbing together, go out to bars, go to movies maybe, I don't know. But you are friends. The second type of friend zone is the girl says, let's just be friends, either after an approach or date. So, for example, if this has ever happened to you, you approach a girl either at a bar or a club or a bookstore or a mall or wherever, and seems like it's going really well. And you text her, and she sends something back that says, hey, just to be clear, I just want to be friends. In this case, she may not actually want to be friends. She just isn't interested, and she's trying to let you down easy. And either through, wanting validation or, good game or whatever, she didn't want to do that in person. So in this case, you're not actually in the friend zone because you weren't friends when she put you in the friend zone. In this case, you aren't really friends yet, and she's just kind of blowing you off. So, in this video today, I'm going to be talking to you about how to avoid the friend zone in the first place. The reason I'm going to be telling you about how to avoid the friend zone is there's no need to escape the friend zone, which I have a whole product on, if you never end up there in the first place. So, there are two parts to avoiding the friend zone, and they are, number one, making things sexual. Making things sexual right from the beginning. Like, you gotta do it. We'll talk about why it's important and how to do that in literally a minute or two. But the second part of avoiding the friend zone is escalating correctly. Sometimes you get placed in the friend zone, and this has happened to me, not recently, but it has happened with one of my female friends. Things are going well, you guys are making out, and then you kind of push it in a way that makes her uncomfortable and makes too much of a sexual threat, which we'll talk about the idea of a sexual threat in maybe 10 minutes from now. And the girl just is kind of creeped out, but she likes you, she just doesn't want to be in that situation again, so she puts you in the friend zone. So escalating correctly, not hitting that point, is very important. And in today's video, I'm going to cover how to make things sexual so you don't hear the dreaded, let's just be friends, ever, ever, ever again. I mean, is there a worse phrase? Honestly, it's like cutting off a guy's balls. It's like basically saying your penis is not necessary in our relationship. Like, I want all the friendship. I want you to, spend money on me and hang out with me and, listen to me talk about my guy problems. But I don't want to fuck you ever because you have no dick to me. I mean, really, it's fucked up. It's upsetting to me that we allow women to get away with the let's just be friends thing. And I, for one, don't. When a girl LGBFs me, which hasn't happened in a while, I don't talk to them anymore. I go, cool, not looking for friends, have enough friends, peace out, biatch. In not quite those exact words, but I have had to tell bitches to shut the fuck up when they bring the friend zone up. Alright, so let's talk about making things sexual. For the sake of this course and this video, we're going to assume you've already met the woman in question, whether through mutual friends or an approach. The techniques taught in this video, therefore, should not be used before you have some social comfort and attraction with the woman. You should, as a member of Get Laid More University, know what social comfort and attraction are, but just a real quick 30-second refresher on both. Social comfort is what we need to establish right away. It's basically just proving we're not creepy and weird. The social comfort hook point, so to speak, is what happens when the girl would rather talk to you than not talk to you, but she's not attracted to you yet. Attraction is the emotion of wanting something. And there are 5 basic ways of creating attraction. There's value-based attraction, intrigue-based attraction, emotional attraction, physical attraction, and sexual attraction. So we're assuming already, because this is the friend zone, that this was type 1 of the friend zone. A girl you've known for a long time, a girl you hang out with, who's your platonic friend, your buddy, your pal, but you'd really like to be giving her that deep, deep dick action. And we're going to close the gap between those two goals. Starting now. So don't take this as stuff to do in approaches. This isn't stuff to do in approaches. This is stuff you can do with a female friend who you already hang out with a lot to move that friendship towards sex. So why make things sexual? When it comes to avoiding the friend zone, the best way to do it is through making it obvious that you're not a friend. You're not her friend. You aren't. That's really crucial to understand if you want to break out of the friend zone. You can't have the same relationship you have in the friend zone. If I'm in the friend zone, it's like I'm in jail. I can't, make my sexual interest known, or she's going to go, yeah, we're just friends though. Blah, blah, blah. So I got to make it clear that I'm not really a friend. I'm a dude you put in the friend zone. And the best way I've found to do this is through making things sexual. This not only gets her to see you as more than a friend, but it also helps to create sexual tension, and when done correctly, can turn her on. Sexual tension is a beautiful thing. Sexual tension is this combativeness and kind of contentiousness, this little bit of fighting that really serves as foreplay. This I'm better. No, I'm better. If you watch this show, Sybil and some dude who I think it went on to be famous. It might have been George Clooney. I don't think it was George Clooney. It might have been, though. But it was some dude who went on to be famous, too. I should have Googled that. I wasn't planning on talking about sexual tension that much in here. But if you Google, like, the old Sybil show, maybe it was Bruce Willis or someone like that. I don't know. But Sybil and this fucking dude had crazy sexual tension. And, when you have that will turn her on. And also, when you know what you're doing physically, you can arouse her physically as well, which will help you move things away from friendship. So, the 3 rules for sexualizing an interaction. These are things you have to keep in mind when you start to sexualize in the friend zone is, number 1, always start with humor. Always start with humor. If you can get a girl joking about sex and thinking about sex, you can get her to have sex with you. Rule number 2, don't create an immediate sexual threat. We're going to talk about this idea of sexual threat. This is something that men don't generally understand. You watching this right now maybe don't understand this, and If you don't, it's crushing your ability to escalate with women. And the third rule is we always want to release first. We're the man. We're the powerful one. A really good way to think about this is I could, but I won't. I could, give the girl all sorts of crazy pleasure and twist her toes into a knot, but I'm not going to yet. I'm going to release, and I'm going to take away all the touching first, because I know that if I treat touching her like gaining yards on a football field and I just pour more and more on, at some point she's going to get so uncomfortable she's going to stop it altogether. But if I just make her a little uncomfortable and I pull away, magic can be created. So let's talk about starting with humor. Anytime I'm trying to make an interaction sexual with a woman, I'm going to start with humor. And that goes for cold approach or meeting a girl you're in the friend zone with. It's just the easiest, simplest, safest way to bring sexuality up in a conversation. And the best ways to do this are through things like sexualized teasing and misinterpretation. So let's talk about sexualized teasing. Sexualized teasing is quite simply teasing a woman, which is the art of saying something that on the surface is rude or mean or unfriendly, but really means I like you. It's really flirting is what teasing is. But we're also going to make it a little more sexual. So it's sexualized flirting. So for example, I could say, I can already tell your last boyfriend did a bad job. He didn't spank you enough. Or I can already tell your boyfriend doesn't wear the pants in his relationship. Or your last boyfriend didn't wear the pants in his relationship. Or I can say, I have that effect on women. Try to control yourself. I can pour a little bit of my drink on her hand or like dab her with a napkin and she'll go, well, you made me wet. I'll be like, I have that effect on women. And go, you're a sexual predator. I figured this out. Like girls, you think you're all sneaky and like slick and stuff, but I'm on to you. You're sexual predators. You go out and if you have a bad thing with your boyfriend, you meet a new guy in like 30 seconds. Meanwhile, like guys don't have any options like that. But I'm on to you. Like the way you're looking at me, crossing your legs, you're a sexual predator. Another thing I can do is I can say, you just want me for sex. Girls in LA, they're just predators. They just want to use me for my body and they don't listen to my thoughts or feelings. I can tell you just want to take me to bed and you don't want to even think about who I am as a person. This is all really good because it's getting the idea of sex on the table, right? So, if you already know the girl, you go, look, like I can tell you haven't gotten any for a while and you just want to use me for sex, but it's not happening. All right, you're a sexual predator. I've seen the way you are after you break up with boyfriends. You can make this more personal. Misinterpretation is another great tool for making a conversation sexual with humor. When you're misinterpreting, you purposely give whatever a woman says a sexual meaning. For example, she says, it's getting late, and you say, you're inviting me to bed already? Jeez. You've known me for 5 years, and you're trying to get me into bed still. Or, I could say, look, just so you know, I'm on my period, and nothing can happen tonight. Okay? All right, rule number 2, don't create a sexual threat. The second rule of sexualizing an interaction is where most guys stumble when trying to get sexual. This is probably where you stumble. They create a sexual threat for the girl, which makes her have to decide if she wants to have sex at that moment. What is a sexual threat? A sexual threat is basically presenting a woman with the fact that we're all dudes, and this is just men in general are a sexual threat, so don't take it personally. But we are all basically consent away from fucking any woman we're with alone. I mean, that's pretty much like, it's not our mother, our sister, our daughter, our immediate family. We're basically consent away from fucking any other woman we're alone with. So when you reveal that you really want to fuck her, that creates a sexual threat, and that makes the woman have to decide if she wants to have sex right at that moment. It's like a direct approach almost. In a direct approach, you make the woman make a yes or no state a decision about whether she wants to talk to you and she's interested in entertaining you as a possible romantic connection. And in creating a sexual threat, you're basically saying, want to fuck? Yes or no? Which coincidentally, there's a really funny Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think it's when the waitress gets married, when they take Charlie to a restaurant on a blind date, and Mac's like, well, just go back in there and ask her if she wants to bang. And Dennis is like, is that how you get women? It's funny. You should look that up. But most girls are not going to be into that. I mean, unless it's like super on or she's kind of wasted and you've already, I mean, like if you already have foreplay going, then she might be into it. Like if you're making out and she's rubbing her hand up your leg, you could be like, you want to fuck, and she might say yes. But most girls are not going to be into that. So instead, we want to use barriers and future tense to make the sexualization comfortable for her. Barriers and future tense provide distance and objectivity between the sexuality and the woman. So, for example, a bad thing to say, which would create a sexual threat, would be, I want to fuck you. A good thing to do, creating barriers, would be like saying, if nobody was here right now, I would fuck you right here. I would bend you over right here. The barrier is the fact that people are here. This lets the girl get turned on by that without getting threatened. There's a real life reason I can't do it. And that's the power of barriers. All right, rule number 3. Always release first. This is another place where guys tend to mess up. You always want to end the sexuality first by releasing with a quick non sequitur tease, such as, too bad you're such a dork. This releases the sexual tension and keeps the girl from getting uncomfortable. At some point, one of the two of you is going to release the tension, so it might as well be you. Now, when it comes to releasing, what you're looking for is twofold. You're looking for either a facial flinch or muscular tension. So facial flinch is really any movement in her face other than smiling. So if I'm escalating on a girl and I'm touching her and I'm rubbing her back or I'm pulling her hair, I'm looking at her face, because what I'm looking for is what we call micro expressions. And micro expressions are these little 1/4 to a 25th of a second flash of the 7 basic emotions that human beings express on their face, as researched by Dr. Paul Ekman, which I highly recommend you check out. drpaulekman.com. Learn about his 7 facial reactions, which are things like disgust, anger, sadness, surprise, happiness, contempt. There's a couple more. I can't remember all 7 right now, but you want to just see any of them, because what's going to happen is if the girl flashes a micro expression, she's not into the escalation, and you can stop and pull back and release, and that way she's not uncomfortable enough to change it, but you saw that she's uncomfortable, and you can release before it goes too far and she wants to end all touching. Because what we want to do is we want to establish a rhythm where the girl is actually more uncomfortable having us release and take the touching away than she is with us touching, that she actually wants us to be touching more, because the alternative is us taking it away and she doesn't like that. Alright, so let's recap. In this video, I walked you through the first way to avoid the friend zone, making things sexual. You learned the 3 rules of sexualizing an interaction with a friend, which are: number 1, using humor first; number 2, using barriers and future tense; and number 3, releasing the touching first. If you use all of these rules, you'll be well on your way to avoiding ending up in the friend zone ever, ever, ever again. Now, I want to give you an exercise before we're gone. And what I want you to do is I want you to look back through your history with women and look for times where you failed to sexualize a situation and times where you did it well. You know, for me, I look back and there's this girl, Layla, from high school, where I was in a park with her, and this was back when I lifted a lot of weights, and she was asking me to like take my shirt off, and she was like feeling my back, and this girl was so hot, and she was known to be super slutty, and I just botched it, blew it, destroyed it, you know? And I look back on it, and there were so many things I could have done. And the same way that, you know, now I look back and there are things where I've had female friends that I've wanted to sleep with that I've converted well. Like my friend Julie, who, you know, I decided I was attracted to, and I was able to sleep with her and keep the friendship and everything. And, you know, what I like to do is I like to have you compare the successes and the failures to the 3 rules. Look at what you could have done better in the failures, obviously, and look at what you did well in the successes. And then with any girl you're in the friend zone now, start to apply those things to avoid the dreaded friend zone. Chris Rock has a good thing on the friend zone in Roll with the New, about how he was every woman that he ended up in the friend zone with, he was trying to have sex with, took a wrong zone, turned somewhere, and ended up in the friend zone. Hopefully I can act as your GPS, your guide, to make sure that you don't make that same wrong turn.